Oh man, the stock market had yet again another rough day today. We had the S&P 500 down 1.3%, Dow Jones went down 1.1%, the Nasdaq down over 2%, and the Russell 2000 went down 2.7% on the day. And we're going to be talking more about that today, breaking down some technicals, going over a bunch of stocks I'm watching now, and I also want to share with you guys what stocks I own right now, and in general where my head is at as a trader and as an investor. So hit the like button, subscribe if you guys find value, and make sure to go down below, get into the Strive Smart Discord chat, the Facebook group, get 2 free stocks from WeBull valued up to $1,600. Those are 100% free, and make sure to also check out the Patreon if you guys want buy and sell alerts, call outs, morning update videos, and access to me throughout the day. That is in Patreon, also linked down below. So let's just get into it. S&P 500 today, it was rough, right? And if you guys remember, a couple of days ago, we called out this bull trap, right? And not to toot my own horn, but we called it out, and it ended up playing out, and now we hit a lower low and a big drop, to say the least, guys, to get to that lower low is what we saw today. And ever since that little pop, we went from 3,800 to 3,910. We called the bull trap here. Ever since then, we had 3 straight drops in the market, and today was very bad. I mean, look at the intraday. You guys can see the S&P was at 3,840. We had Pal speak. We'll talk about that in a second here. And then we went all the way down to 3,720. So the S&P dropped over 3% from top to bottom today, highest point to lowest point. That's a drop of 120 points, and we ended up running up into the close. And if you guys are in the Patreon, I made a video today earlier in the morning on Patreon, which I do every day for the top tier patrons. We were talking about how the markets saw a big drop yesterday, and the futures market, it was pretty interesting because the E-mini S&P pre-market today, we actually saw a bit of a rally. You guys can see it here. We were seeing the S&P gain some steam from 37.90. It ended up getting up to about 38.40 like we saw, and we covered that on Patreon this morning, and we said that it was likely to be another bull trap, what we saw, that rally, and that ended up playing out. You can see it drop from 38.40 to 37.20 again, like I said. And going back to that index, guys, I mean, where could we go if we pull up this 4-hour? Now, it's been about a 5% drop, 5.3% drop. So we're nowhere near, a bear market. We're getting close to a correction, which is anything 10% plus from the drop. So where could we go? I mean, look, there's a low point here. The next support I'm looking at is around 3,700. That was support back in the end of January, so that's the next big spot if we break that point, guys. And mind you, I mean, we already broke the 180 SMA support, which has been support for months. So, I mean, how low could this go? We don't know, but if we break 3,700, and the fact that we broke the 180 SMA, that's pretty bearish. We break 3,700, I mean, this could go mid-3,600s, 3,600 flat. That's, in the short term where it could end up getting to. And yeah, I mean, this is why you have to have cash, as always, guys. And what's been moving the market today? It's been that 10-year Treasury yield. I mean, that spiked up recently. We've been covering that on the channel, and that took a lot of money out of the high risk on assets. Took a lot of money from them, and it really brought some money into the Treasury yield. It's brought some rotation to some recovery stocks. Energy's been crushing it. Airlines. We've been seeing this slow rotation as of late, and the yield is it's pretty much freaking people out. Not necessarily freaking people out, but it's just causing that rotation. I mean, people are leaving the Cathie Wood stocks, the Bionanogenomics, the NNDMs. People are going from those, they're transitioning out of them, and that's kind of why we've been seeing this big drop in those high growth stocks. I mean, BNGO went down 20% today. RMO went down 9%. Ride went down 6%, AMD down 4%, Fastly down almost 4%. You guys can see Square down 7%, Shopify down 6%. So a lot of the growth names have been getting hit. So those are a couple of targets I'm looking at. And let's quickly go over some notes here from Jerome Powell in regards to inflation, what it would take for the Fed to increase the interest rates, which the Fed funds rate right now is literally close to zero, if not zero on the dot, right? So we saw that he was asked about, and he is Jerome Powell, that's who he is. He was asked about the recent surge in bond yields, which has come as investors anticipate a pickup in inflation and economic growth this year. We just covered that a little bit. And the Fed chairman said, quote unquote, it was something that was notable and caught my attention. He said, I would be concerned by disorderly conditions in markets or a persistent tightening in financial conditions that threatens the achievement of our goals. And he added that the Fed is looking at a broad range of financial conditions rather than a single measure. And we all know the interest rates, this is huge. I mean, they've been dropping down the interest rate, and we remember the last time in 2018 where they tried to, hike up the interest rates, the market did not like that. We saw a pretty big drop. If I recall, it was about a 20% drop in 2018. So we understand if he tries, the Fed, and I keep saying he like Jerome Powell, he is the chairman of the Fed, but there's a lot more people pulling strings for sure behind the scenes. But either way, if the Fed raises that interest rate, the stock market is not going to like it. And when it comes to what it would take for the Fed to actually increase the rates, and you guys know how it goes. I mean, he was kind of dodging around the questions and so forth, but some notes I have here in terms of, what it would take for the Fed to increase rates, and some other notes, asset purchases will continue until they, quote unquote, reach their actual goals, and it will take some time to achieve substantial further progress, meaning, the economy recovering, them getting everything back to normal, right? Back in, the swing of things. And he stated that the Fed doesn't like to put timetables and dates when it comes to them completing something, right? He said they don't focus on, we're going to get this done in 12 months. Oh, we're going to stop asset purchases in 5 months. They're focusing more on results rather than, we have to get this done in 13 months, 12 months. If you guys watched him today, you know what I'm saying, right? And he also said, quote unquote, we have a lot of ground to recover or to cover. I don't know if that's a typo, but either way, a lot of ground to recover before we get to a more recovered economy. He also stated, if we do see, which is what we believe is a transitory increase in inflation, I expect that we'll be patient. And he thinks that we are inclined to see more inflation as the economy reopens, and that's kind of going back to that 10-year creeping up a bit. Earlier this morning on Patreon in that video, it was about 1.4748 when we were talking about it, and it closed up 5% roughly. It's at 1.55 right now, which is pretty crazy. And overall, what that pretty much means is he thinks that this little spike in inflation is short term and that he's going to ride it out and pretty much be patient with it. And overall, the long-term goal of the economy is to have the long-term inflation be anchored right around 2%. So I think it might get a little bit higher than that in the short term, but longer term, yeah, he wants it more anchored to that 2%. So what are your thoughts, guys? Let me know down below in the comments. A lot of stuff went down today. Again, what are your thoughts? Let me know down below. And make sure to hit the like button. I would really appreciate that, guys. It shows me that you find value in these videos, and it also helps me in the good old handy-dandy YouTube algorithm, right? So make sure to hit that like button, and let's just talk quickly about moves I made today and what stocks I own. And number one, what I did today was I bought some Tesla, TSLA, or shall I say I bought more Tesla at $610 per share, and we closed at $620, and after hours we're chilling at about $616 per share. And this is one that, like I said, I was looking at and targeting at the low 600, whether it was $600, 620, 610. The low 600s is where I was watching it. And the fact that we got down there today in my target area for me to add more to the stock, well, I added more to the stock, right? I ended up adding more to the stocks. And when it comes to my trading account, I mean, that's all I ended up doing today. I ended up adding a little bit of Tesla, and I'm still holding on to my other positions. SLV, Workhorse, SBE, which is now ChargePoint, which let me tell you guys, that got destroyed today, and a lot of SPACs got destroyed today. We'll talk about that later in this video, but I'm still holding on. I'm also still holding NEO, which cracked under $40 today. This was so tempting to buy more of today, but I did not do it. I might tomorrow. We will see. And I'm also still in Tattooed Chef, which I'm really looking to double down on very soon here. I'm very bullish this company. I've tried their products. I like the way they're setting things up for the future, and I'm loving it. Even in the short term, I'm bullish as well as the long term. So that's what I did today, guys, and those are stocks I'm holding right now in my trading account. And if you guys want to see real-time buy and sell alerts, my real-time call-outs throughout the day, you want access to me throughout the day as well, check out that Patreon. That is where you can get that linked right down below. So let's talk about some stocks. A lot of these stocks, well, not a lot of them, but some of them ended up holding up pretty impressively compared to the markets, which again clearly had a very rough day. There's barely any green here on my watch lists, right? The number one stock here is Google. Ticker symbol GOOG. This ended up going up $22 today, up 1.1%. And that's on news that YouTube is actually looking to lift suspension on the former president's channel when the risk of the of violence here decreases. So that could be a good, that's kind of the catalyst here moving Google. And I just like the fact how it's doing well here in the pits of red that we're seeing in the market. And if you guys watched my M1 Finance update a couple days ago, by the way, if you haven't seen my M1 Finance portfolio, it's a YouTube portfolio I made a little bit over a year ago. Well, at this point, it's been about a year and a half. Go check it out. Go on my channel, go to the playlist, and check out that portfolio. I grew it from $0 all the way to where it is now. And I actually made Google my biggest position in that portfolio, about 10% of that portfolio. And this is a stock that in that portfolio and in my trading account, I'm looking to get into, honestly. And if Google could get down to the 1900s, 1950, let's say the market melts up a bit more. Let's say we get down, like I said earlier, the S&P's down 5% from the high. Let's say we get down 10% from the high, see a bit more red. Let's say Google gets down to 1900, 1800, 1850. That is an all-day buy, in my opinion, for Google. And even here, if it holds 2,000, guys, we could see a nice bounce back, even if it holds 2,000. So I'm watching Google heavily, GOOG, very bullish on this company. You guys got to realize they have Google, the search engine. They have physical products as well. They have the cloud. And guess what? You see what you're watching this on right now? YouTube. Yeah, Google owns YouTube. So this is one of my favorite stocks, no doubt about it, hands down of all time. It's Google, GOOG. And the next stock here I'm looking at is EA, ticker symbol EA, Electronic Arts, right? The video game company. This is one that I made money on a couple months ago. We held it for some time, made some money there, and now I'm looking at it for a re-entry. It's funny. Sometimes you trade stocks, you ditch them for a couple months, and then a couple months later you come back and you're like, wow, this stock's kind of good now. Let me get back in this one. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at EA because, look, it's down from 150 to 130. At this point in time, it's holding the uptrend. It hasn't confirmed the bounce up quite yet. It hasn't done that, but I'm looking for that. And if it does do that, we get from 130 to 135. I think there's upside to about 145, 150. This does kind of look like an ascending triangle on this yearly chart we're making higher lows into the overall resistance at about $150. So EA on a longer term basis, this is not going to be a swing that's going to last a week or 2 weeks. At least I don't think it is. But if you're looking at this from a month, 2-3 months perspective, a quarter or two, this could be a nice hold in my personal opinion. That's ticker symbol EA. And I don't like talking about the hypey stocks too much, although let's be honest, we all like talking about them a little bit. This is a new one, BUZZ, and it's actually not a stock, it's an ETF. And I looked at this ETF today. It's brand new, first day on the market, and it actually has a lot of strong holdings, a lot of high growth companies. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's similar to ARK Invest ETFs. They have a lot of future innovative next generation companies. It's not exactly like that, but it's a little bit like that. They have a lot of the similar holdings, right? And based on the performance of this ETF over the past couple of years, the 1-year rate of return is 78%, 78.79%. 3-year rate of return is 29.79%, and the 5-year rate of return is 25.53%. Right now, there's about 75 holdings, I believe, and make sure to go check this out. And I'm not pitching it for any stretch of the imagination, but I find it interesting because Dave Portnoy came on and he invested into this. And the stocks that are in this ETF, they're pretty interesting. We have DraftKings, Twitter, Ford, American Airlines, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, AMD, Netflix, Tesla, Plug, and many, many other ones. So the ticker symbol is BUZZ, and although we don't have any data in terms of, trading analytics here that we can analyze, although we don't have any data, I'm still going to be watching this stock moving forward, or shall I say this ETF moving forward. And I think it's interesting. And another one here that's dropping, and I'm liking it, is Square, ticker symbol SQ. This hit a low of 210 today, closed at 218, ended up going down almost 7%. And we can see on the 4-hour, it's right around the uptrending trend line at about 208, 210. I mean, we held it at 210 earlier. Now we're at about 217. So I'm not saying this is the bottom for sure on Square, but if we see a relief rally in the markets tomorrow, which is possible, very possible, especially since we dropped so much today, we could see Square end up going from 210, 215, honestly, guys, to 225, maybe 230, with upwards potential to 240. That's right around the resistance from back in December, also back in January as well. So I like Square on this dip, although if it does break 200, 210 even, it might not be the best for a swing trade, but as a long-term investment, bring it on. The valuation would be a lot better as it got down to $180, $170, $160 if it got down to there. So watch out for Square. Palantir is another one that I believe has been targeted kind of by the Wall Street Bets community. I haven't been too in tune with the community as of late, but I believe I have been seeing some chatter about Wall Street Bets, Palantir, and this went up about 5% today in the midst of the markets getting crushed, and that's a good sign that, I don't want to say the low is in, but let's just say it's a good sign to see a stock that's been being down not go down lower, but go up, actually go in the green, right? While the markets in general are red. That's a pretty good sign. So Palantir, $23-24 seems to be holding. I would like to see a break out of 26, 27. I currently have an alert at 26.30. So if it breaks that point, I think Palantir does have potential to about 28, 29, $30, right around the 180 SMA 4-hour chart here. And if that breaks, I'm thinking mid-30s are coming. So Palantir solid. Facebook is another one that was green today, although the pattern, I mean, it is squeezing deeper and deeper into the wedge, and it looks like there's really nowhere to go in terms of the wedge. We're pretty much as deep as we can get. I mean, look at this thing. Where could this squeeze to? From 255 to 260, 265. Eventually, we're going to have to pick a direction. So if we squeeze out of 260, 265 on Facebook, I mean, this could break out, especially if the overall markets recover. But on the flip side, I mean, look, 255, if that breaks, it could go down a lot lower, especially if the markets tank. So I'm pretty much looking for direction right now in this wedge for Facebook. Shopify is another one that I think is even more attractive than Facebook. This is ticker symbol SHOP. This dropped almost 6% today. It did not hold 1250. It's actually right around 1150 now. The highs from back in July, August, September, October, November. So 1150 was a big resistance for months in 2020, and now we're approaching it to see if it's going to hold as support. And I think in the short term, I mean, this is very oversold. It kind of looks like a falling knife still, although we do see a green candlestick forming. You know, that could be a sign of a bounce back. And let's say the markets do bounce back in general. I think since it is a bit oversold, this could snap back to the 1200s plus, 1200, 1250. So I'm watching it for that exact reason. I think 1150 is going to hold. I think that's a pretty strong support. If it does break, I mean, it always could break. I think it could go to maybe 1050, 1100 flat from there. That's if 1150 breaks. So let's see, guys. That's ticker symbol SHOP. And when it comes to SPACs today, this is why I don't try and preach and shove things down your throat. Quite frankly, I hate doing that, and I don't like people that shove things down people's throats like that. But listen, guys, I've been saying that SPACs, they're great, but don't put all of your money in SPACs. You know, don't even put half your money in SPACs. And yet again, you could do whatever you want, honestly. But for me, my personal opinion, you know, SPACs are solid, but I'd put a small amount. You know, I'd treat them as a speculative investment because, look, a lot of these SPACs today, they got hammered. And I mean, if you're in 50% SPACs, 100% SPACs, today would have been a terrible day, as opposed to, let's say, you had a well-balanced portfolio of a lot of, you know, different stocks and different industry sectors, and you had a little bit in SPACs, right? I mean, look, SRAC today, momentous, which I might actually buy. This might be my shot to get in because I did not get in at $10. I mean, if you guys remember, I made a video on SRAC months ago before it saw the big spike to 30. We were talking about it at $10, and then it went all the way to 30. I ended up not buying in, and now we're getting back to where it was when I made that video. So this might be my chance to get into it, and I probably am going to get in. And I mean, look, this went down 15% today, and overall in the past couple of trading days, it's down 52%, right? So the S&P is down 5%. This is down 52%. So that gives you some perspective there. And we have CHPT, ChargePoint. This went down 15% as well today. This was $34 a couple days ago. Now it's at $24. IPOE, look at IPOE. This went down about 7% today. Let's take a look at Clover. Clover went down 12% today. I mean, this was $18 a couple weeks ago. Now it's at $6, $7. I mean, this stuff is crazy, guys. Even Open Door went down. Open Door went down 16% today, and somehow CCIV held up and it went up 0.6%. But you guys get the point. A lot of these SPACs, they got crushed today, so don't be too heavy into them. At least that's my opinion. So yeah, I guess we'll end off the video there. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you guys do those two things, that means a lot to me. It helps me out in the YouTube algorithm, and it shows me that you guys actually like the content. So make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and also get yourself into the Discord chat and the Facebook group and get 2 stocks from WeBull valued up to $1,600 by simply depositing $100. All of those are free and linked down below. And if you guys want to work with me on a more in-depth basis throughout the trading day, you want want call outs, buy and sell alerts, morning update videos, and little snippet videos throughout the day as well, check out that Patreon that's linked right down below in the description box. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, keep crushing the markets, guys.